In the not-so-distant future, the sun will expand and engulf our solar system. People on Earth have thought of various survival plans, one of which is the Moving Mountain Project. Humans plan to install 10,000 planetary engines on the Earth to drive it out of the solar system. To test the feasibility of this Moving Mountain Project, 33 countries have jointly established a test base in Libreville, recruiting astronauts to take a space elevator to the Lunar Gate Station for experiments. However, as the Moving Mountain Project progresses, its execution difficulties and high costs pose a serious impact on the interests of countries around the world. Global unrest and terrorist attacks by opposing forces attempting to stop the project are frequent. With less than 10 days left until the ignition of the planetary engines, 3 opposition members secretly sneak into the space elevator, locking all the astronauts in their seats. They then took their ID badges to request the right to dock at the space station. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of drones burst out from the warehouse in the joint experimental base and begin uncontrollable attacks on the ground staff. By the time the control center discovers that the operating system has been invaded, it's too late. All cabins crash into the space station at high speed. Han Duoduo tries to contact the ground control tower, but the communication system has long been hijacked by the opposition. Liu Peichang, to protect his girlfriend, engages in combat with the 3 opposition members. Seeing the drones breaking through the base's defenses, all pilots immediately go on alert, launching fighters to stop the drones from attacking the space elevator. However, the radar on the fighters is unable to lock onto the drones. Zhang Peng and his team are forced to play defense, dodging attacks from the drones in the sky. Just as more and more drones are hot on their heels, the reinforcement forces arrive just in time. Everyone uses manual targeting to begin clearing the out-of-control drones. The ground control center connects the intelligent quantum computer 550C, trying to regain control of the drones from the opposition. The opposition realizes that the experimental base is trying to regain control, so they order the drones to fire missiles at the space elevator. Although Zhang Peng and his team successfully destroy the vast majority of the missiles, one lands on Cabin 9. As the opposition presses the button to detonate the missile, Cabin 9 explodes violently in the air. The left wing of Zhang Peng's fighter is inadvertently hit by falling debris, causing him to fail to stop the remaining 2 missiles. At this point, the control center has successfully regained control, and all drones suddenly lose power and fall from the sky. The opposition, seeing that they are losing, decide to detonate the last 2 missiles. Fortunately, Han Duoduo starts the mechanical arm in time, punching the opposition members away. Everyone thought they had successfully averted the space elevator crisis, but as the space station falls from space, the Moving Mountain Project suffers unprecedented, severe setbacks. At the beginning of mankind's confrontation with the sun crisis, a digital life project was proposed, which involved creating a powerful quantum computer to allow human life to live forever in the digital world. However, this plan was quickly banned by all countries, arguing it might lead to countless people avoiding reality. Therefore, countries around the world concentrate on verifying the feasibility of the Moving Mountain Project led by China. But with the fall of the Ark space station, the Moving Mountain Project encounters an unprecedented major crisis, and more countries join the ranks of opposition to the Moving Mountain Project. China can only rely on its own efforts to build 2 planetary engines and test ignition before the window period of solar activity. At this time, on the distant moon, Tu Hengyu and his mentor Ma Zhao are using a 550C to guide machines to automatically manufacture planetary engines. Both of them were researchers in the Digital Life Project before. When the Digital Life Project was banned by law and the Research Institute was shut down, the two turned to participate in the development of the 550 series of quantum computers. Tu Hengyu, in his own lab, connects a chip to the discarded 550A, which holds a memory segment he backed up just before his daughter's death. The memory, after self-iteration 400 times, forms a self-consciousness. However, due to the poor computing power of the 550A, his daughter can only have a 2-minute conversation with him. watching his daughter in the video continuously calling out to him. Tu Hengyu hopes that Ma Zhao can let him connect his daughter's consciousness to the 550C. In this way, his daughter can have a complete life. However, he is verbally rejected by Ma Zhao. Their main task now is to ignite the planetary engines for testing. If the mission fails, all humans will cease to exist. Suddenly, an alarm comes from outside the base. A solar storm is about to land on the moon's surface. While everyone is moving the machines back into the base, the most important 550C gets securely stuck. After the solar storm passes, they find that the only 550C is scrapped and cannot be used, and there are only 3 days left before the ignition of the planetary engines. Without the 550C, they will not be able to complete the remaining tasks. Tu Hengyu stands up and tells Ma Zhao he can sacrifice his 550A. But the load of the ignition calculation is large, and the 550A might be scrapped as a result, meaning he will never see his daughter again. So he requests Ma Zhao to allow him to participate in the subsequent research of the 550 series. Thinking about how all of humanity's hopes are pinned on the Moving Mountain project, Ma Zhao has no choice but to agree. Then, under the watchful eyes of all humans around the world, the first planetary engine on the moon is successfully ignited. Everyone at the United Nations stands up and applauds. Humanity finally found a direction for the future. Afterward, the Moving Mountain Project is officially renamed the Wandering Earth Project. The Earth, according to plan, slows down its rotation speed, with a day changing from 24 hours to 60 hours. The prolonged daylight time leads to the outbreak of many diseases. Countries around the world begin to actively construct underground cities, but they can only accommodate half of humanity. Therefore, the places in the underground cities have to be drawn by lot. Only Liu Peiqiang from Tu Hengyu's family received a place. Tu Hengyu participated in the subsequent development of the 550C. The 550C was upgraded to 550W, which can make decisions and build autonomously, helping humans construct underground cities and planetary engines. Because the Digital Life Project was completely banned, Tu Hengyu was not allowed to use any computer to run his daughter's virtual life. This resulted in him not seeing his daughter for 14 years. Until one day he saw Liu Peiqiang sitting in the house. In order to get more living places, Liu Peiqiang has to enter the space station to ensure his family can live in the underground city. However, the 550W in charge of the interview proposed a stress test question to him, which included letting him give up his loved one, and as the only guardian, take his son into the underground city. Liu Peiqiang knew the answer in his heart, but still could not control himself, and even broke down emotionally, which resulted in his failure in the interview for the navigator. Tu Hengyu, sitting outside, deeply understood. To save humanity, he gave up the chance to see his daughter. Seeing the weak and helpless back of Liu Peiqiang, he decided to give his daughter a complete life. As the chip was inserted into the computer, his daughter appeared in front of him again. Tu Hengyu couldn't help but cry. At this time, Ma Zhao also discovered Tu Hengyu's violation. He told Tu Hengyu that it was still time to stop. But Tu Hengyu insisted on uploading his daughter's consciousness into the 550W. As he pressed the start button of the 550W, the 3 planetary engines on the moon suddenly began to run overloaded, deviating from their orbit and about to hit the Earth. The United Nations also received a warning signal. A series of data indicated how humanity should resolve this crisis, detonating nuclear bombs to destroy the entire moon. That day, the moon that blotted out the sun rose slowly from the sky. The huge tidal force instantly triggered a super tsunami, ruthlessly swallowing every corner of the city. As the 3 planetary engines on the moon ran in overdrive, people around the world received warning signals on their mobile phones. The moon will hit the Earth in 4 days. The United Nations urgently recruits astronauts from around the world to ride the International Space Station to protect the Earth. Liu Peiqiang and his mentor Zhang Ping also joined. The Chinese representative, Zhou Zhidao, stated at the United Nations General Assembly that he hoped all humanity could unite and hand over all of their nuclear weapons to detonate the moon and resolve this crisis. This is the only way to continue human civilization. In the face of this unprecedented survival crisis, humans on Earth finally united, handing over their nuclear weapons and selected excellent astronauts to deploy nuclear bombs on the moon. During the deployment of the nuclear bombs, Liu Peicheng and his teammates were accidentally hit by moon fragments. Seeing that there were only 3 seats in the return cabin, he decisively let the other 3 teammates go first and stayed to deploy the remaining nuclear bombs. Meanwhile, Ma Zhao came to the prison to find Tu Hengyu, using his daughter's chip to persuade him to help restore control of the computer that ignites the planetary engines. Because the nuclear bombs that exploded on the moon were brought from various countries around the world, each country had its own nuclear bomb password. However, with all the nuclear bombs deployed, some countries were still unwilling to hand over their own nuclear bomb passwords. After discussion, it was decided that 300 astronauts would manually start the nuclear weapons. Hearing that this was a one-way ticket, Liu Peicheng's mentor, Zhang Peng, decided to leave the hope of survival to the young people. He urged the astronauts over 50 years old to step forward and go with him to detonate the moon. Other countries also followed suit when they saw this, and soon a squad of 300 was assembled. At this time, Tu Hengyu and Ma Zhao had already infiltrated the seabed, trying to restart the main engine of the Earth's thruster. But at the critical moment, the door of the control room suddenly malfunctioned. Ma Zhao was pinned to the ground by the collapsed main engine and could not move. Seeing the seawater about to flood into the control room, Ma Zhao gave the last set of restart passwords to Tu Hengyu. Seeing his old friend sacrificing his life, Tu Hengyu quickly inserted his and his daughter's chips into the computer and let his daughter memorize the password to restart the internet. As Tu Hengyu's life detection became a straight line, he also entered the computer. Meanwhile, Liu Peicheng saw the squad of astronauts who manually started the nuclear bombs. Zhang Peng gave Liu Peicheng a seat in the return cabin, asking him to live well. Everyone pressed their detonation buttons, and the moon exploded violently. But the server in China still did not restart. If the planetary engine in another place was started at this time, the Earth would deviate and hit the moon fragments. But if the planetary engine was not started, the moon fragments would continue to hit the Earth. Zhou Jidao of China entered the control room and told the staff to wait until the time was right. Tu Hengyu, who had become digital, operated his daughter's computer, inputting the password to restart the internet, and succeeded at the last moment, connecting with all the planetary engines. The Earth, under the push of 7,000 engines, began its journey towards its new home 25,000 years later.